I honestly can't believe I'm even going to talk about this. Hi, how are y'all doing? Let me know in the comments below. So, I wanted to take kind of this moment and give you guys some story time and give you some background on some things that have been going on in my life, specifically my dating life this year. So if you've been watching some of my most recent vlogs for like the last month and a half, you probably have noticed I've been saying like something's been going on or I've been going through something. I had something in my life semi recently, more towards the end of June, just kind of whiplash me. I think the other thing too though is there's like a lot of things going on in my personal life that I don't talk about on here, because it's like talk about that thing. But to make all of it make sense, I have to tell you everything that has happened from the very beginning of this year to now for it all to connect, because you think my everyday life is crazy, my heart life is crazy. Let me tell you about my dating life. So this starts at the very beginning of the year, tip top beginning of the year, literally January 3rd. So I got a gift card for Christmas for Barnes & Noble. Now Barnes & Noble is in the mall here in St. George. So if you guys don't know what Barnes & Noble is, it's like a bookstore. They sell books, they sell vinyls, they sell DVDs, they sell toys, magazines, whatever else. There's also a cafe in it and everything. So I was like, great, got a gift card. I am going to get some vinyls because I love vinyls. And if you guys really want to start connecting stuff, I'll give you some of this detail. I went in to get the So Far So Good album by the Chainsmokers on vinyl. I ended up also picking up the Aristocats vinyl. I found that while browsing. And if you guys don't know, the Aristocats is my favorite Disney movie, so I was like, let's get this. Well, the boy that rang me up there, I thought we hit it off. I'm like, hello? Hello? So I thought we hit it off. We talked, we had a good moment, and then I'm leaving and immediately calling my best friend Angie. I'm like, girl, I think I just had a moment with this boy. So we only had a first name. We didn't have a last name. And I have absolutely no gaydar. So I can't tell if someone's fruity or not. I'm just like, they just them. So I'm like, yo, I need you to use your gaydar and help me. Is this person flirty? Or am I reading into it way too much? But again, we only had a first name. Let's call him Dez. Okay, so Dez is all that we had. And I was like, okay, well, I then got to go back, and see if this continues. So I went back once by myself, and what was weird is he wasn't working. So when I first got there, he wasn't there. But then he came in, not to work. He just came in, and I was like, whoa, that's weird. We didn't have an interaction then. It's fine, whatever, we move on. The next time we go in, I go in with my friends Angie and Kelson, because they're like, we will tell you if he's fruity or not. And luckily he was working that night, and they were like, bro, how can you not see it? And I'm like, I'm sorry, okay? They just are who they are, okay? So I eventually asked Dez to help me find something. It ended up being the Heartstopper novella. And nothing really came out of that for that moment. But then as I'm leaving, because they're trying to close, I get semi-guts. There's a girl working there, another worker, and I ask her, I'm like, hey, do you know Des by chance? And she was like, oh yeah, of course, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, do you by chance know how old he is? And I don't know if she picked up on what was going on or something, because she goes, oh, I think, and then she's like, oh, Des. And I'm like, no, that was not the plan, girl. No, I'm asking you for a reason. I can go ask Des myself, but that wasn't the plan. So whatever, he comes over and she's like, you're 21, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm 21, almost 22 and stuff. And so I just cut in. I'm like, oh, great. I was just curious. Okay, have a good night. Bye. I just leave. So then we let the dust settle for that for a minute. You know, we don't go back for like at least a week. And I actually went one night and he wasn't working, but I had this whole plan of how I was going to ask him to hang out, basically. But he wasn't working that night. And that same girl that got me his age actually was working again. And I asked her, I was like, hey, so yeah, you know Des who works here? Yeah. I was just going to ask if he wanted to hang out and whatever. And again, I feel like she picked up on what was going on. You know, she's like, oh, Des is a homie and whatever. Anyway, she pulls out his schedule. And I was like, girl, I don't need to know that. I just need to know when he works next. So it was the next day. So I come back the next day. Took me a long while to kind of work up the courage. But eventually, I asked him to help me find something. And we get talking, whatever. And I'm like, so I think you've helped me the last few times. And he's like,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have.
and I'm like, you just seem really nice and whatever. I was wondering if you want to hang out. And he's like,
Oh my gosh, I'd love to, but I'm just super busy. I am in school full time and then I work and whatever. He's like, are you going to school?
and I'm like, no, I tried it. It's just not for me right now. He's like,
Like, oh, I get that, and I'm like, no, I understand, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, you should come back in and we can keep talking, whatever.
and I was like, okay, yeah, totally. So I was like, bet. So I did that from January to April. Went in. And like I was writing because I love to write. I was doing stuff. You know, I wasn't just in there to talk to him. That was the main priority, but I wasn't just there to talk to him. We get to April and there's another worker there, okay? And we will call him Skyler, okay? So Skyler's there working and I find out that my dad's best friend's daughter knows Skyler. So my dad's best friend's daughter's name is Courtney. I'm like, Courtney, you know Skyler? And she's like, oh yeah, totally. We went to school together, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, can you ask him a question for me? So I told her the whole story and she's like, oh, okay, I got this. And so Skylar's like, oh my gosh, that's funny because we all kind of think he's fruity too, but you know, nothing's really been said or whatever. And he has a girlfriend. He what now? Okay. So I have to like shut that down immediately. I'm like, well, guess I'm not going for a while. That's fun. You know, he could be bisexual. Totally could be. Or something else. Ooh, okay. Okay. So this Skyler though. Courtney is like, yo, you should ask Skyler out though. And I'm like, Courtney, I just went through this. I don't know if Skyler's fruity. Do you know if he's fruity? You know him longer than me. And I basically shoot my shot. So I had gone in to Barnes and Noble that night, well, one night, to basically say I already picked up the book that they had on hold for me, and Skylar was the one that helped me. Anyway, that same night, Skylar had posted like an NGL link on his Instagram story. And so I like replied to it and I was like, just out of pure curiosity, what is your sexuality? And he replied to it and was like, I'm straight. And he's like, so straight though that God had to bend my spine to align the universe or whatever. And so I outed myself and messaged him and I was like, I'm gonna out myself. This was me. I know Courtney, and Courtney had just said that I like should ask you out, but I didn't want to assume your sexuality. And also, I'm the dude that was asking about Des and everything, so I basically told him the whole story, and he was like, this is so funny how everything's connecting now. And I'm like, I'm glad you're having a laugh because I'm panicking. So whatever, me and Skylar continue to talk. I'm like, okay, cool. New friend. I don't know. I went into Barnes & Noble a few times and like we talked. I was like, cool. Go to the beginning of June, okay? So the beginning of June, me and one of my longtime best friends, Jenny, go to Anaheim in California to go to the Bop to the Top tour. And that was fun. Great. Love that trip, okay? So then on our way back, we figure out that they hadn't done the Bop to the Top tour in Vegas yet. We thought they already had. That's why we had gone to Anaheim. And if you guys don't know, Vegas is only a 2-hour drive for us, so super easy, whatever. We can do day trips. So we were like, yo, let's go again. Let's go to the Vegas one. Boom. And we were like, we should invite Skyler. We should invite him to come. Just, it'll be fun and whatever. So I do. I invite Skyler, but eventually he's like, sorry, I actually work that night, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no biggie, whatever, because we had an extra ticket. Is why we were like, let's invite him. Well, a few nights before Bop to the Top in Las Vegas, I get a message on Instagram from a boy in another country. I'm not going to say what country. You might be able to figure it out, but in another country. He came out of complete thin air. I was like, whoa, hello, who are you? So we get talking, we exchange Snapchats. We go over to Snapchat. I was like, okay, whatever, yeah. International, whatever, whatever, yeah. And I do some digging because, as long as I've been making content, I'm able to, for the most part, pick up on, like, who's just looking for a booty call and who actually, like, wants to talk to you. So I was like, I'm going to see how long you've been following me and stuff, because, like, if you just recently follow me and message me, like, I see where this is going. But no, he, at least, like, 6 months, at least, had been following me and my content for 6 months. So I was like, okay, we'll see. We'll see where this can go. So we start messaging through Snapchat, talking, and he's being very bold, and I'm, a little thrown off by it at first, but he's kind of like, you're really attractive and whatever. And I was like, oh, thank you. And anyway, so then we like eventually get talking, like, he asked, like, I would do long distance. Would you consider long distance? And I was like, at first I was very like, had my guard up. I was like, and then like people started telling me like, you're not going to have the chance if you don't give it the chance. So I was like, yeah, okay, yes, I would consider long distance. And I was like, and you're very attractive too. Yes. Okay, I'll give this a chance. So, cool. We kind of continue talking until suddenly he starts just snapping, like just sending random snaps, no conversation. And I don't know if I'm too old for this. Like, please tell me, is this a normal thing nowadays where you just send random Snapchats back and forth all day and don't talk? Is that normal? Am I too old to understand that? I don't get the fun in that. I don't. What is that for? Just to raise your Snap score? Because let me tell you, this boy has a freaking high Snap score. Okay. I notice stuff, and all this is going to come into play. So I eventually ask him, I'm like, after some time, I'm like, hey, like, we kind of stopped talking. Like, did I do something? Are you okay? What's going on? And he's like, oh, sorry, no, everything's fine. I just started working again and it's super busy, whatever. So the job that he had was crazy intense. I'm not going to say what it is, but just know, like, every waking moment he was bowing down to this boss, honestly, from my perspective of how I could see it. And he traveled a ton, like traveled, So I was like, oh, okay, I see. But then it just kind of kept going that way of like, maybe we would talk maybe once a week-ish, but it's just the random snaps. And I was like, what? Okay, whatever. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. So eventually, though, I'm like, I kind of want to see where this can go and give this a chance. Because, again, for me, it came out of complete thin air. So I asked him, I'm like, if I got my passport, would you want to meet up and see what could happen? Because he seemed very like, I want to try this with you. And I was like, okay, sure. Note, though, we still had not talked on the phone or like video chatted or whatever. So I still didn't know what his voice sounded like. Another note, though, very early on, I found out that he is friends with a very famous person who is in a very popular show. And I'm going to leave it at that. But let me just say, I have photos of said very famous person that the world has never and will never see. Okay? I'm like, this is weird, but like I see how all this makes sense. They grew up together. They're from the same place. They grew up together, and so they've been friends before this person became famous. But yeah, anyway, just to add that into the mix of everything. Yeah, he was like, yes, totally, let's do this. He was like, first week of August, I have free. Come then. And I'm like, okay, I'll try my darndest to get my passport by then because I didn't have my passport yet. And we're at the beginning of July, okay? So I have a month to get my passport. So I put in my application and everything. I pay for the expedited and the 1 day shipping and everything. And I'm just kind of waiting. And in the meantime, I am working my ass off, making sure I have money to get out there and back and everything. And so I'm basically working every day, taking up every extra hour I can to make this happen. And we're getting closer and closer to August and still no passport. So I sat on the phone for hours a week before I was supposed to fly out. And within like 3 days, I somehow got it. I got my passport. I was like, this is all meant to be. This is all meant to happen. I book my flight. And he goes, no, 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 no. You shouldn't have booked them. I now work that first week. Like, I'm going to be away traveling. And I was like, are you kidding me? We've set that in stone for like at least a month. So I have to cancel my flight, okay? And at this point, I had work covered, so I had to go in and be like, I need to switch stuff up. I am so sorry. So, because he said the next week is what I have now. So I had to basically like switch everything, okay? And I got it all figured out somehow. And so I was like, okay, bet I will be ready for the following week, like the second week ish of August. Okay, cool. So I'm booking my flights again, and he goes, no, I don't have it available anymore. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? At that point, I kind of basically give him an ultimatum. The first of a few that are coming up, okay? Because I give people way too many chances, more chances than they deserve, but it's just who I am, and I'll never change that in myself. So I basically say, okay, here's the thing. I have put in so much effort to try and make this happen. Okay, you're the one that reached out to me. Yeah, okay. I get it. You can't commit because of work or something, but I'm like, we still also haven't talked on the phone. I don't know what your voice sounds like. And we're like a month and a half in to talking to each other. So I was like, okay, I'll give you two options. You either fly out here and we can meet, or within the next 3 weeks, because he had said, now I have the first week of September off. And I was like, okay. Or within the next 3 weeks, we actually talk, not the random snaps back and forth. We actually talk and we video chat. And then we can consider me going out there the first week of September. And he was like, okay, yes, I'm so sorry. I'll put in more effort, blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, great. Let's see what happens. So that lasted about 3-ish days. We would message back and forth, whatever. And then he went back to the random snaps. And I'm just like, why? 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 I don't understand. So within this time, me and Jenny go to Denver to go to our third Bop to the Top tour, okay? So we went to Denver, and that was a whole adventure in itself, and I have vlogs up of that if you miss that kind of adventure. But again, by that point, it had been a week of just random snaps, and I'm like, I don't understand. I don't. Why can't you message? Why can you send random snaps to not only me, but a bunch of people? Because again, I can sit and watch your snap score rack and rack and rack and rack up. But you don't have time to send a simple message. Why? Why? So we're coming home from Denver. Okay, it's a 10-hour drive. And I basically message him and go, can you answer some things for me? And he's like, go on. And I'm like, are you and I gonna be a thing or not? Because, I'm so like dedicated at this point. I get loyal very easily, and I get attached probably too easily too. But I'm just like, why the random snaps? Why do we not talk? Like, what is going on? And he kind of goes off on me and is like, I don't have time for this. I'm trying to enjoy my night out, blah, 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 blah. And so I basically was like, oh, okay. Sorry, I'm an inconvenience to your night. And I basically leave it at that. Now, I have really strong instincts. I always have for most of my life. And I knew exactly the day that he would message me again. I knew. So we don't talk for 2 weeks. August 30th. I knew exactly when. I knew. Now, let me throw in the next plot twist, okay? While we were in Denver, waiting to go into Bop to the Top, waiting in line, I was bored and kind of pissed off, honestly. So I created a Facebook dating profile just to see what's out there, like eye candy. Come August 30th, I was just swiping, throughout like the next 2 weeks, those 2 weeks, I just kind of swiping whatever, just to kind of see what's out there, whatever. It wasn't much for me, okay? And the day this boy, and I still haven't given him a name, we'll call him Mowgli. Okay? So Mowgli messages me on the day that I knew he would, okay? So the day that Mowgli messages me, I get matched with someone on this Facebook dating. And I don't remember swiping on this person at all. At all. And they message me. We will call them Eric. Okay? I suddenly have these two boys messaging me. So Mowgli is apologizing for almost everything, which I didn't expect. I was like, oh, not for only what you said, because he said some harsh things, but also for just like not committing and being all over the place and, everything else. So he was like, can we pick up where we left off? Like, is there still a chance with you? And I was like, there is, but things have to change. And I was like, no more of these random snaps. We need to talk. And I was like, we need to freaking video call. Like, I still don't know what your voice sounds like, okay? And at this point, my dude, it's been about 2 months, okay? Like, come on. But I'm still gonna talk to Eric and see what happens. So, cool. Mowgli and I are talking, whatever. At the time, he's out in a different country, okay, from where he resides. He's out in a different country for his work. And I was like, okay, so maybe there's still a chance. But Eric, we find out he lives a mile away from me. We live a mile apart. I can literally look out my back window and basically see where he lives. Like, hi. Okay. Mowgli and I are doing pretty well, talking. I was like, okay, maybe this is going well this time. And then they go to another country. Once they finish up what they were doing in country A, they go to country B. And he starts having like a quarter life crisis, honestly. He's like, I am so annoyed, like I want to go home and everything. And me just observing everything, I was kind of like, yeah, honestly, I saw this coming eventually, because like the job, like the novelty of it had to wear off eventually. Like, sounds cool, but it actually just was not, because it sucked up your entire life. You didn't get to do anything, And the moments that you did get to do anything, it's like, I don't know. Was it worth it? It just wasn't worth it. So, yeah, he's having this quarter life crisis. And then he goes back to the random snaps. And I'm like, ooh, I'm going to explode with anger. Anyway, so they're traveling back home. And he was like, yeah, we go home for like a day and then we're traveling again. So he messages me when he got home. Now, here's the thing. He would keep his Snap map off whenever he was home, but anytime he was traveling, he would have his Snap map on. He forgot to turn off his Snap map that night when he got home, when he went to sleep. So I found out exactly where he lives. And it's not exactly where he originally had told me. Close, but not exactly. And I was like, oh. I mean, again, this makes sense why you know that famous person, because of where you live, where you actually live. Like, that actually makes sense. But Huh. Okay. So, nothing for about 24 hours after he said he got home. And I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. And me and this Eric are still talking. We're kind of planning, oh, let's get together. Let's hang out. Let's see, let's vibe, see how this goes. But Eric also works a lot. So, like, we kind of, like, he was tired when he wasn't working. So, we still haven't gotten together. At this moment in recording, we're still talking to Eric. But, like, we still haven't gotten together in person, even though we live a mile away. And about 24 hours later, Mowgli snaps me. And I'm getting pissed off at these random snaps. So I'm just sending him black screen snaps. I'm like, no, I'm not playing this game. And eventually he's like, sorry, it's been a very stressful day, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I quit my job. And I went, plot twist. Especially because they were supposed to be traveling again. So he quit his job. Okay. So I was like, okay, we'll give him a little leeway because, like, he's probably trying to figure stuff out. But eventually I was like, you know what? We still have not gotten on a call. I still don't know what your voice sounds like. So I eventually was like, hey, are you busy in the next few days? I was like, we need to get on a call and figure all this out. Like, is this happening or not? It's almost been 3 months now. And this has been an emotional roller coaster for me. Dedicating to someone, I have no idea who you are. And yet he has said stuff to me that's made me feel so like, oh my gosh, you could be an amazing partner. You could be exactly what I've wanted, because he's so fascinated with my scars and my heart condition. He'd always ask to see my scars, which maybe it's like, is it a weird scar kink that I'm not picking up on? But, like, I would always send him stuff of, like, my scars and whatever, but he never had time to send me stuff. I would send him stuff. So eventually I deleted all those that he had saved. I was like, you don't get these if I'm not getting anything in return. So I was like, do you have time in the next few days that we can get on a call? And he's like, yes, definitely. Absolutely. I was like, okay. So I basically gave him another ultimatum. I was like, we got to figure this out because this is ridiculous. The random snaps, the not talking, like, come on. And so I was like, you have until the end of Monday for us to get on a call. I was like, I'm going to be going to Vegas one of those days, but, I will make anything work. So he just, like, wouldn't message, and then, like, would do the random snaps. And eventually, while I was in Vegas, I sent him a random snap back and was like, answer my freaking question. And he's like, oh, yeah, I can. But then he never called. So we get to Monday. Well, actually, the night before Monday, I said, okay, can you get on a call at noon your time? Trust me, I know the time difference down pat at this point. So I was like, can you get on a call at noon your time? He's like, yes. Okay, sounds good. So I got up very early in the morning for me to get on this call. I waited 5 hours, and I even tried calling him. I tried calling him and he didn't answer. Then he messages me, hey, and I went off on him. I was like, are you kidding me? So I finally just, like, messaged him everything I've been wanting to say to him for the last 3 months. And the message I get back from him is, fucking hell, that's a lot. And I was like, damn right, it's a lot, because there's so much shit we gotta figure out. Like, I still don't even know who you are. Really? Like, you can't even send me a video of your voice? Come on. Now, I don't believe he's a catfish, because I've seen his face all day, every day through the snaps and everything. Like, so many things, like, that he said lined up. It's just there's a lot that he wouldn't say or talk about that's left me kind of confused. So I tell him, basically, I get off work at midnight your time. Be ready for a call or be ready to say goodbye. And I snap him while I'm at work, like, every hour. I'm like, okay, 4 hours till I'm off, 2 hours till I'm off. So I get off of work and I had to go get gas. I was like, we'll give him a minute. And So I got gas in and I was going to go park somewhere to call him. And as I'm driving to said place to go park, I get a message from him that says, "Sorry, I can't do this right now. I'm not in the right headspace right now." And I message back, "Then goodbye." That's where we currently are. I know a lot of people are going to say, block him. I just can't. That's not the person I am. I can't block people. I can't. And right now, sure, I'm going through the emotions of, I really wanted that. I really wanted that chance. It could have been so cool, and it could have been beautiful if it had worked out. And part of me, dumbly, is still kind of like, maybe there's a chance for us in the future. Maybe. But right now, I can't keep putting in effort for absolutely nothing in return. Absolutely nothing in return. So within the mix, some little details I forgot to put in. When we were in Denver, I actually messaged Des because I found out, I don't know if it's true, but just through lots of context clues that I dug up, he had broken up with his girlfriend. So I tried shooting my shot, but Des never messaged back. Now, here's the weird thing, kind of where we're going to leave off with this mystery now, okay? So, who knows what's going to end up happening with Mowgli? I don't know. I would love a chance with him, but he has a lot to prove. He has a lot he has to make up for and a lot to show me, not just say, to show me, because he really got my heart wrapped up in him, being like, I want to be there for all of your heart endeavors. You'll never be alone again. I'll hold your hand through it. Like, I'm going to love you through it, blah, 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 blah. And, that's everything I could ask for, is someone to not be scared of my heart condition and want to be there for my heart journey. But again, I have to see effort at this point. I have to see actions, not just words. I have to see actions. We're still talking to Eric. We are. And we'll see if anything happens with that or if it's just a new friend, honestly. It could just be a new friend, and that's cool too. Great. Love that. Here's the mystery that we're going to leave this video off of. So, my friend Whitney, met her at Joshua Bassett's concert this year. You guys have probably seen her a handful of times at this point. She had a birthday recently, and we went out to dinner for her birthday with some of her roommates and her mom. And then, we went and played some, Cards Against Humanity at their apartment and everything afterwards. And I met one of her roommates, her friends, for the first time. And I was kind of telling her about what's been going on in my life and just, a little bit of my life story, because honestly, everybody's always so interested as soon as they start hearing. And I find it flattering. I'm like, sure, let me tell you about my life, because it quite literally is quite an adventure. And this roommate, she was like, she's like, it's not going to be Eric or Mowgli. She was like, there's going to be this random third dude that's going to enter your life, and they're going to be, we will call them Michael. Okay. She was like, and their name's going to be Michael, and they're just going to show up out of nowhere, and that's going to be the one. Well, while I was waiting to get on a call with Mowgli, and I'm sitting in the car, okay? This dude is running by, and I'm like, whew. We don't talk or anything. He's on a run. He has earbuds in, whatever. I'm just like, thanks for the eye candy. Well, a few days later, I kind of come across a dude that has been following me for a while now, like a few years. And I don't know why my brain just went. So I look up this dude and I go, are you Runner Dude from Monday Morning? Now here's the trippy thing, okay? Well, so I was trying to find more of this dude to see, is this Runner Dude? And who are you? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. I accidentally added him on something. Whoopsies. Maybe it's a happy accident. I don't know. Here is the crazy, crazy mystery that we're going to leave off with and see what happens. Okay, so I accidentally added him on something. So we could potentially message, okay? This dude's name is Michael. And I'm like, what the hell?